this is The Art of Not Fitting In, episode 7. We're flying through these. So this episode is called A Scot Who Doesn't Drink. Can you believe it? Let me also just say this is going to be a slightly shorter episode just because there's only so much I can really talk about this topic. When I say this, a Scot, I mean me. I don't drink. And I will give you a bit of a breakdown of why and what led me to that decision. I think it's quite important for me to preface this with, I'm a very all or nothing person, and I find it difficult to do things by halves. One of those things is drinking, and I realised that it was better for my mental and physical health to stop, just because I'd love to be able to just have a glass or two, and I'd love to be able to do that, but I just know that that's not really within my nature or my power to do that. So that being said, I've just cut it out of my life. For some context, I drank a lot at uni and I completely overdid it to the point that I would be unconscious. But I think it might be helpful for other people who struggle with not fitting in social environments. Lots of different environments that they find themselves in without drinking, and how I've navigated my life events, gatherings, weddings, Christmases, all that kind of thing without drinking. I used to drink far too much at uni to the point that I would be unconscious, not remember anything that happened, be extremely hungover, extremely sick, all these things, and I just thought that was normal. Or I just didn't realise how much it had probably affected my physical and mental health. So I will take you to when I kind of decided that it was not great for me. When I moved to London, I lived on my own. It was during COVID, from 2020 until mid-2022. So a large part of that was during COVID. And I didn't really, firstly, I couldn't really socialise. And secondly, I didn't ever want to drink on my own. I was working a really stressful job, so I couldn't mentally afford to ever be hungover or go into work feeling rotten. Your time off only becomes 2 days of the week. I didn't want to spend one whole day feeling rotten. I also just felt like when I went into work the following week that I wasn't well rested. So as a girl living on your own, unfortunately, the sad reality is I never out of control, and I wanted to have my wits about me at all times. So because of that, I really reduced how much I drank, because I never wanted to be coming home on my own, walking home at night on my own, all these things. So I kind of made a conscious effort to limit how much I drank. I didn't completely stop, but I definitely limited how much I did. I also realised that I really struggled with hangovers. I was really, really bad. So, as in really, really anxious. It made me feel incredibly on edge. And I think I kind of realised that I became a different person when I was drinking, like really. And I didn't like it. I didn't like how much I changed and how much I didn't feel like I was in control of my being, which only with hindsight can I realise how much that affected me, that I would do things that I would otherwise not ever do. And I think with COVID happening, with the job, I was probably much more aware of looking after my health than I had ever been. So I stopped really then. Also, a fundamental one was my skin was getting really, really bad. And so an immediate thing for me to stop was drinking, because I thought, well, I can't afford to physically to dehydrate my skin so much or put toxins in my body that I don't need. I don't think my body will be able to cope with it. So there's also a bit of a drinking problem genetically within my family. Well, I won't go into detail with that because that's none of my business to share, but I know that it's something that's been passed down and passed through the family. So I'm just being intuitive and living my life knowing that it's something that I could fall victim of, and I don't want that to be the path that I kind of go down. Now I'll talk about how life has been and how I've managed life through not drinking. Our culture, particularly in Scotland, is drink, because 99% of the year is cold, dark. Other than today, I don't know where the sun's come from, so I don't know how this lighting is going to be. I think it might be quite chiaroscuro. Oh, okay, art history. I feel like it's going to be very harsh. So this might lend itself to this whole drinking vibe. Yeah, we don't have a great relationship with drink in Scotland, and people do it to such an extent and in excess that it's really disrespected. Whereas if you look to somewhere like Italy or France, Spain, these kind of places, they have such a lovely relationship with alcohol that it's not abused. And I think I actually watched a show about the blue zones. I'll link it because it's really interesting. And one was this place within Europe, I can't remember exactly, and red wine is integral to their diet. And they're one of the longest living and healthiest groups of people, which just shows that if you can respect it in the right way, it actually adds longevity to your life. But I think that our attitude and approach is so extreme that it's done in a binging way. It's done to get drunk. It's done to escape from reality and all these sort of negative things. Whereas there it's done as a ritual and as an art and as something to be really appreciated. I think that the mindset and approach of it here has kind of put me off of it. And I think also my experiences throughout uni have definitely kind of put me off of it. I definitely have found it much more difficult to socialise and to go to events and be around people who are drinking. It is definitely hard. And I don't think I realised how much I use just a drink or two as not necessarily a crutch, but just as a way of getting through small talk. It's hard without it. It really is. I suppose now what's so great is people are much more health conscious. There's a lot more people getting up, running, exercise, matchas, non-alcoholic drinks, or the non-alcoholic industry is so huge that I'll put in a figure. It's a huge, huge industry. So you can see that people are definitely more aware of what they're putting into their body more than they've ever been, I think. And I do think that I think COVID has a lot to say for that, because people had to kind of face themselves and slow down and actually exercises in their house and think about their food and all these kind of things. I've noticed that it's easier now not to, but it's still not as easy in social situations. I think the worst question or what people are really guilty of doing is immediately if you're not drinking, you're the odd one out, or there's something wrong with you, or you're no fun, or you're going to be boring, and it's like, oh, come on, you should have a drink, or you should, as if without it you're not going to be able to contribute. And I think, or that you feel left out. But as a person that doesn't drink, you don't until someone makes you feel that way. And I think just a reminder that, you know, you never know someone's reason why they're not. And so sometimes it's best just not to ask rather than pry. Because for some people there's serious reasons as to why they don't. And it could be health, and it could be a family history, or it could be something that's more serious than just not wanting a drink. So I would just be mindful of making people feel like the odd one out in these situations. Having cut it out, I definitely feel much less anxious. To be fair, I was drinking so much coffee and I was drinking so much alcohol that I think my baseline, my cortisol levels were so high that my baseline was just anxiety and stress, that I didn't know any different, that I would have a Coke and 2 paracetamol, wake up and have that, because I thought that was normal. I definitely feel much healthier within myself, and I have so much more clarity of thought. I'm more articulate, present, and all these beneficial things. So I definitely feel like if it's something that you're considering doing or you're struggling with, some of this is relatable to you, and that maybe this might be of benefit to you, because I know that it's hard, and I know particularly in Scotland, the UK, it's definitely difficult to not be ostracised from it. But I think that's everything, and I hope that this episode is probably, as I say, it's going to be shorter, but I think it'll be around 15 minutes, so that's awesome. And I hope that this light's not awful. We'll see. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Peace.